There's nothing slapdash about the making of a mould in the centuries-old Whitechapel Bell Foundry. The craftsman's skill has hardly changed in all that time, and he still uses London clay to fashion out the shape. The precise shape and size is vital to the sound. Only when it's been smoothed and dried in an oven is the bell ready to be cast, using a molten mixture of copper and tin. The sounds of Bow Bells and Big Ben were first heard here in Whitechapel.
The thing about the Whitechapel Bell Foundry is a place of national and international significance, really, not just because of the collection of buildings and because of the making of wonderful things, bells, but, I think it is the oldest continuous business in this country, which gives it, significance historically, culturally. Its loss for East London, it's completely heartbreaking.
I've always loved the sound of bells ringing on a Sunday morning, and always been fascinated by the kind of art and crafts of bells. I also love how it is so connected with London history. I have a friend that bell rings, and he's always been trying to get me to have a go. And it was only because of the Ringing Remembers campaign that was launched to recruit 1,400 bell ringers to commemorate the First World War that I saw it as my opportunity to give it a go and have an end point and a goal to achieve.
One of the big legacies that the Whitechapel Bell Foundry is giving this city is the sound that transmits across the airwaves here. The sound of bells that were cast, 10 years ago, and the sound of bells that were cast several hundred years ago. The sound of bells is one of the few sounds in this city that remains the same.
In my time, I was several years after the Westminster Abbey bells, but we made the bells for St Martin in the Fields and Canterbury Cathedral. We made 58 bells for the Riverside Carillon in New York. Big Ben is the famous one. It's world famous. It's almost the voice of England.
If you go back centuries to the Renaissance, artists and craftsmen were pretty much the same thing. All artists were craftsmen. They were amazing technicians. I think that we as humans respond to that. And I think that's where craft comes in, that human interaction with the material, whatever it is.
The model that we have here at Middleport Pottery can easily be transferred across to Whitechapel Bell Foundry. That idea of that huge legacy of making skills and the opportunity to bring in new technologies and new ways of using that legacy with apprentices, with new roles, with new opportunities, finding new markets overseas and within the UK. It is an absolute echo of what has been done so successfully here at Middleport Pottery, and we can bring that to Whitechapel and bring Whitechapel back to life. New skills, new people. It's everything that UK HBPT is about. What we describe ourselves as an organisation that deals in living, breathing heritage, and that's exactly what we can bring to Whitechapel Bell Foundry.
In essence, the key thing about the Bell Foundry is, one, historic buildings, and secondly, the fact that it was providing a fantastic use, not just the continuity of bell making and foundry activities, but also the fact that it was a business that has a future, really. People need it.
Factum Arte has been going now for about 20 years. Factum Foundation has been going for 10 years. Both of them have grown here in Madrid, building bridges between new technologies and traditional craft skills. One of the things we're doing is scanning, 3D printing, making things in bronze, experimenting on every level. So what we're doing is we're looking at what we can take from one method, one technique, and merging it with others. And it's this bridging between different skills, different ideas, different mindsets, different disciplines that's led to a workshop of over 60 people here in Madrid, feeding a community of craftsmen that are growing around it. And we estimate there's probably more than 100 people who are working around in the foundries, in the water jet cutting, in the laser cutting, in the finishing, in the laminating, and the different disciplines. So I think what's evident and what's clear is that when the right mindsets merge with the right teams, then actually craft traditions can absolutely explode. We want to map this model onto the Whitechapel Bell Foundry.
When I was told that it was sold on and then sold on again, and there was plans for hotels, and it was quite shocking that, when did this happen? How come we weren't consulted? How come we didn't know? It has a big impact. And also knowing the history of the Bell Foundry, I'd been in there once on a photography project, and it was just amazing to hear the history and the craftsmanship, and it was just really unique.
It seems to be the sensible, civilised, thoughtful and correct approach to the guardianship of a site and of a business, which is so important to the history of London, so important internationally, that to do less than your best to keep it going in a way related to its function of a foundry, just basically, a surrender of responsibility.